Welcome to our comprehensive guide on research methods in educational psychology. In this video, we'll explore the essential techniques and strategies researchers use to understand how people learn, develop, and behave in educational settings. Educational psychology is a dynamic field, constantly evolving as new discoveries are made. By understanding the various research methods, we can better interpret findings, design effective interventions, and improve educational outcomes. Whether you're a student, educator, or simply curious about how research shapes our understanding of learning, this journey will provide valuable insights. Let's begin by looking at the importance of research in educational psychology. Research in educational psychology is crucial because it provides evidence-based insights into how students learn and what teaching methods are most effective. Without systematic research, educational practices would rely on intuition or tradition rather than proven strategies. By using scientific methods, researchers can test hypotheses, analyze data, and draw conclusions that inform policy and practice. This ensures that educational interventions are grounded in reliable evidence, ultimately benefiting students, teachers, and society as a whole. Next, let's explore the main types of research methods used in this field. Quantitative research is one of the primary approaches in educational psychology. It involves collecting and analyzing numerical data to identify patterns, relationships, and causal effects. This method often uses surveys, tests, and statistical analysis to measure variables such as student achievement, motivation, or classroom behavior. The strength of quantitative research lies in its ability to generalize findings to larger populations, thanks to its structured and objective approach. However, it may sometimes overlook the complexity of individual experiences. Next, we'll look at some common quantitative research designs. Experimental design is a cornerstone of quantitative research in educational psychology. In this approach, researchers manipulate one or more variables to observe their effects on other variables, often using control and experimental groups. For example, a study might test whether a new teaching method improves math scores by comparing a group using the new method to a group using traditional instruction. Random assignment helps ensure that differences between groups are due to the intervention, not other factors. This method is powerful for establishing cause and effect relationships. Bayes' experimental designs are similar to true experiments but lack random assignment. In educational settings, it's often impractical or unethical to randomly assign students to different groups. Instead, researchers might compare existing classes or schools. While this approach can still provide valuable insights, it's more vulnerable to confounding variables that could influence the results. Researchers must use careful statistical controls and thoughtful design to minimize these risks. Quasi-experimental studies are common in real-world educational research where strict experimental control isn't possible. Correlational studies examine the relationship between variables without manipulating them. For example, researchers might explore whether there's a link between students, study habits, and their academic performance. While these studies can reveal important associations, they cannot establish causation. It's possible that a third variable influences both factors. Despite this limitation, correlational research is valuable for identifying trends and generating hypotheses for further study. It's widely used in educational psychology to explore complex relationships in natural settings. Survey research is a popular quantitative method in educational psychology. Researchers use questionnaires or structured interviews to gather information from large groups of participants. Surveys can assess attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, and experiences related to education. The data collected is often analyzed statistically to identify patterns or differences among groups. While surveys are efficient and cost-effective, their accuracy depends on the quality of the questions and the honesty of respondents. Surveys are especially useful for collecting data on a wide range of topics quickly. Descriptive research aims to provide a detailed picture of a phenomenon as it naturally occurs. In educational psychology, this might involve observing classroom interactions, recording student behaviors, or documenting teaching practices. Descriptive studies do not manipulate variables or seek to establish cause and effect relationships. Instead, they offer valuable baseline information and help researchers understand the context of educational processes. This method is often the first step before more complex research designs are implemented. Qualitative research focuses on understanding the meaning and complexity of human experiences in educational settings. Unlike quantitative methods, qualitative research collects non-numerical data, such as interviews, open-ended surveys, and observations. This approach is ideal for exploring how students and teachers perceive and interpret their experiences. Qualitative research provides rich, in-depth insights that help explain the why and how behind educational phenomena. Let's look at some common qualitative research methods used in educational psychology. Case study method involves an in-depth investigation of a single individual, group, or situation. In educational psychology, case studies are often used to explore unique or complex cases, such as a student with a rare learning disability or a classroom with innovative teaching practices. Researchers gather detailed information through interviews, observations, and document analysis. Case studies provide a holistic understanding of the subject but may not be generalizable to larger populations. They are valuable for generating new ideas and hypotheses. Ethnographic research immerses the researcher in the educational environment to observe and interact with participants over an extended period. This method is commonly used to study classroom cultures, school communities, or specific educational practices. Ethnographers collect data through participant observation, interviews, and field notes, aiming to understand the social dynamics and cultural norms that shape learning. The strength of ethnography lies in its ability to capture the complexity of real-life educational settings. Phenomenological research seeks to understand the lived experiences of individuals within educational contexts. Researchers conduct in-depth interviews and analyze participants' descriptions to uncover the essence of their experiences. This method is particularly useful for exploring how students or teachers perceive significant events, such as transitioning to a new school or coping with academic challenges. Phenomenological research provides deep insights into personal perspectives, helping educators empathize with and support learners. Grounded theory approach aims to develop new theories based on data collected from participants. In educational psychology, researchers use this method to identify patterns and generate explanations for behaviors or processes observed in schools. Data collection and analysis occur simultaneously, with researchers constantly comparing new information to emerging themes. Grounded theory is especially useful when existing theories do not adequately explain a phenomenon. It allows for the creation of fresh, data-driven insights. Action research is a collaborative approach where educators systematically investigate their own practices to improve outcomes. Teachers or administrators identify a problem, implement a strategy, and collect data to evaluate its effectiveness. This cycle of planning, acting, observing, and reflecting empowers practitioners to make evidence-based changes in real time. Action research bridges the gap between theory and practice, fostering continuous improvement in educational setting. Mixed methods research combines both quantitative and qualitative approaches to provide a comprehensive understanding of educational phenomena. By integrating numerical data with in-depth insights, researchers can explore complex questions from multiple angles. For example, a study might use surveys to measure student engagement and interviews to understand the reasons behind those levels. Mixed methods research offers the strengths of both approaches, making findings more robust and actionable. Longitudinal studies track the same individuals or groups over an extended period, often years or even decades. In educational psychology, this method is used to examine how learning, development, or behavior changes over time. Longitudinal research provides valuable insights into the long-term effects of educational interventions or life events. However, these studies require significant time and resources, and participant attrition can be a challenge. Despite these hurdles, longitudinal studies are essential for understanding developmental processes. Cross-sectional studies examine different groups at a single point in time. In educational psychology, this might involve comparing students of various ages, grades, or backgrounds to identify differences and similarities. Cross-sectional research is efficient and can provide a snapshot of trends or patterns. However, it cannot capture changes over time or establish causality. This method is often used for initial explorations before more in-depth studies are conducted. Meta-analysis is a statistical technique that combines the results of multiple studies to draw broader conclusions. In educational psychology, meta-analyses help synthesize findings from different research projects, increasing the reliability and generalizability of results. By pooling data, researchers can identify overall trends, resolve conflicting findings, and highlight areas needing further investigation. Meta-analysis is a powerful tool for building a solid evidence base in education. Sampling is the process of selecting participants for a study. In educational psychology, researchers use various sampling techniques to ensure their findings are representative. Random sampling gives every individual an equal chance of being selected, reducing bias. Stratified sampling divides the population into subgroups, such as grade levels or genders, and samples from each group. Careful sampling is essential for producing valid and generalizable results. Data collection is a critical step in research. Educational psychologists use a variety of methods, including tests, surveys, interviews, observations, and document analysis. The choice of method depends on the research question and the type of data needed. Accurate and reliable data collection ensures that findings are trustworthy and meaningful. Researchers must also consider ethical issues such as informed consent and confidentiality when collecting data from participants. Validity refers to the accuracy and truthfulness of research findings. In educational psychology, researchers strive to ensure that their studies measure what they intend to measure. There are several types of validity, including internal validity, which concerns the study's design, and external validity, which relates to generalizability. High validity increases confidence in the results and their application to real-world settings. Researchers use careful planning and rigorous methods to enhance validity. Reliability refers to the consistency of research results. A reliable study produces similar outcomes when repeated under the same conditions. In educational psychology, reliability is crucial for ensuring that findings are dependable and not due to chance. Researchers use standardized procedures, clear definitions, and repeated measurements to increase reliability. High reliability, combined with validity, strengthens the overall quality of research. Ethics are fundamental in educational psychology research. Researchers must protect participants' rights, ensure informed consent, and maintain confidentiality. Special care is needed when working with children or vulnerable populations. Ethical guidelines also require researchers to avoid harm, report findings honestly, and respect cultural differences. By adhering to ethical standards, researchers build trust and ensure the integrity of their work. Once data is collected, researchers use various analysis techniques to interpret the results. Quantitative data is often analyzed using statistical methods, such as t-tests, ANOVA, or regression analysis. Qualitative data is examined through coding, thematic analysis, or narrative interpretation. The choice of analysis depends on the research question and data type. Accurate analysis is essential for drawing valid conclusions and making informed recommendations. Interpreting research results involves making sense of the data and understanding its implications. In educational psychology, researchers consider the context, limitations, and possible alternative explanations for their findings. Clear interpretation helps educators and policymakers apply research to real-world situations. Researchers must also communicate their results in a way that is accessible and meaningful to diverse audiences. Reporting research findings is a vital part of the scientific process. Educational psychologists share their results through journal articles, conference presentations, and reports. Clear, transparent reporting allows others to evaluate, replicate, or build upon the work. Researchers must include details about their methods, data, and analysis to ensure credibility. Good reporting practices advance the field and promote continuous learning. All research has limitations, and it's important to acknowledge them. In educational psychology, limitations might include small sample sizes, measurement errors, or uncontrolled variables. Recognizing these constraints helps researchers interpret findings accurately and avoid overgeneralization. By being transparent about limitations, researchers contribute to a more honest and robust scientific community. Replication involves repeating a study to see if the results can be reproduced. In educational psychology, replication is essential for verifying findings and building a reliable evidence base. Successful replication increases confidence in the original results, while failures may highlight the need for further investigation. Replication helps ensure that educational practices are based on solid, trustworthy evidence. Triangulation is the use of multiple methods or data sources to study a phenomenon. In educational psychology, triangulation increases the credibility and validity of research by providing a more complete picture. For example, a study might combine surveys, interviews, and observations to understand student motivation. By comparing results from different approaches, researchers can confirm findings and reduce bias. Generalizability refers to the extent to which research findings apply to other settings, groups, or situations. In educational psychology, researchers aim to design studies that produce results relevant beyond the specific sample studied. Factors such as sample size, diversity, and context influence generalizability. High generalizability increases the impact and usefulness of research in real-world education. Well-defined research question guides the entire study. In educational psychology, research questions should be clear, focused, and answerable. They determine the choice of methods, data collection, and analysis. Good research questions address gaps in knowledge and have practical significance for educators and learners. Developing strong questions is the first step toward meaningful research. Hypothesis is a testable prediction about the relationship between variables. In educational psychology, forming a hypothesis helps researchers design studies and interpret results. Hypotheses should be specific, measurable, and based on existing theory or evidence. Testing hypotheses allows researchers to confirm or refute their assumptions, advancing knowledge in the field. Variables are the characteristics or factors that researchers study. In educational psychology, common variables include achievement, motivation, teaching methods, and classroom environment. Researchers distinguish between independent variables, those manipulated, and dependent variables, those measured. Clearly defining and measuring variables is essential for valid and reliable research. Control groups are used in experimental research to compare the effects of an intervention. In educational psychology, a control group does not receive the treatment being tested, allowing researchers to isolate its impact. Well-designed control groups help ensure that observed changes are due to the intervention, not other factors. This strengthens the validity of the study's conclusions. Random assignment is the process of placing participants into groups by chance. In educational psychology, this technique helps ensure that groups are similar at the start of a study. Random assignment reduces bias and increases the likelihood that differences between groups are due to the intervention. It is a key feature of experimental research designs. Blinding is a technique used to prevent bias in research. In single-blind studies, participants do not know which group they are in. In double-blind studies, neither participants nor researchers know. Blinding is important in educational psychology to ensure that expectations do not influence outcomes. This technique increases the credibility of research findings. Pilot studies are small-scale preliminary studies conducted before the main research. In educational psychology, pilot studies help researchers test procedures, identify potential problems, and refine their methods. Conducting a pilot study increases the chances of success in the main study by addressing issues early on. It's a valuable step in the research process. Informed consent is the process of providing participants with information about the study and obtaining their agreement to participate. In educational psychology, informed consent ensures that participants understand the purpose, procedures, risks, and benefits of the research. It is a fundamental ethical requirement that protects participants' rights and autonomy. Confidentiality means keeping participants' information private and secure. In educational psychology research, maintaining confidentiality builds trust and encourages honest participation. Researchers must store data securely, use codes instead of names, and report results in ways that protect identities. Confidentiality is a key ethical principle in all research. Bias refers to systematic errors that can affect the validity of research findings. In educational psychology, bias can arise from sampling, measurement, or researcher expectations. Researchers use strategies such as random assignment, blinding, and standardized procedures to minimize bias. Recognizing and addressing bias is essential for producing credible and trustworthy research. Peer review process involves having other experts evaluate a research study before it is published. In educational psychology, peer review ensures that research meets high standards of quality, accuracy, and relevance. Reviewers assess the study's design, methods, analysis, and conclusions. Peer review helps maintain the integrity of the scientific literature. Applying research findings to educational practice is the ultimate goal of educational psychology. Teachers, administrators, and policymakers use research to inform decisions, improve instruction, and support student learning. Translating research into practice requires clear communication, collaboration, and ongoing evaluation. Effective application of research leads to better educational outcomes for all. Educational research faces many challenges, including diverse student populations, complex learning environments, and limited resources. Researchers must navigate ethical dilemmas, practical constraints, and rapidly changing educational policies. Despite these challenges, rigorous research is essential for advancing knowledge and improving education. Overcoming obstacles requires creativity, persistence, and collaboration. Future of research in educational psychology is bright, with new technologies and methodologies expanding what's possible. Advances in data analytics, neuroscience, and digital learning environments are opening up exciting opportunities for discovery. Researchers will continue to explore how best to support learners in an ever-changing world. Staying informed about emerging trends ensures that educational psychology remains relevant and impactful. Summary: research methods in educational psychology provide the foundation for understanding how people learn and grow. By using a variety of approaches, quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods, researchers can answer important questions and improve educational practice. Ethical considerations, validity, and reliability are essential for producing trustworthy results. As the field evolves, ongoing research will continue to shape the future of education. Thank you for joining us on this journey through research methods in educational psychology.